Yes.
Yes. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. And we were discussing chapter 9. We have covered up till uh, verse number 27. So, we will continue from where we left. We have been uh, discussing this very important chapter, this chapter 9, which is actually the most confidential knowledge. Krishna says Raj Gujam, Raj Vidya. It is very, very topmost knowledge because he is revealing himself to his devotees. So, in the middle of a battle, Krishna is talking about the confidential knowledge to Arjuna, so that Arjuna gets the confidence that yes, there is a supreme being, and the supreme being is completely under control of the situation that is there right now in front of Arjuna. And Arjuna, he has already posed a lot of questions about dharma and what is adharma and what should be done, what not should be done. And in answer to those things, Krishna has revealed many wonderful things. And in chapter 9, some more secrets have been revealed by Krishna. So before we begin, let's begin with the pranam mantras. It will be displayed on the screen. So kindly, all of you, join your palms and you can all chant along with me the pranam mantras. Let's dedicate this session number 101, to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and my beloved spiritual master. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्या नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः नमो ब्रह्मण्यदेवाय गोब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back once again to the Bhagavad Gita study circle. In the verse number 27, Krishna had said, Yat karoshi, yat ashnasi, yat juhosi dadasi yat, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. So basically, Krishna is saying here, Yat karoshi, Yad ashnasi, Yat karoshi means whatever karma that you do, you please offer it to me. Isn't it? So we had discussed very elaborately about this. That karma means there is nitya karma, there is naimittika karma, and there is kamya karma, and there is nishiddha karma. Four types of karmas that we had discussed in the previous session. And very important, nitya karma means nitya karma is that karma which cannot be compromised. That is something which we are all supposed to do all the time. Nitya karma, like taking bath every day, is very important. It's a nitya karma. Every day, doing your regular chanting is nitya karma. We are supposed to do it every day. And similarly, reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, it has to be a nitya karma. So, nitya karma, there is no compromise. Naimittika karma, based on certain situations, like suppose there is Ekadashi, that's a naimittika karma. It comes once in 15 days. You are supposed to do that. We are all supposed to follow Ekadashi, naimittika karma. Then there is the fasting on certain important days, the appearance days of certain avatara. Like recently, we had the incarnation, very beautiful Varaha Dev incarnation was there. We were fasting till noon. Nityanand Trayadashi was there. We were fasting till noon. So all these are naimittika karma. Similarly, there is Kamya karma. Kamya karma is optional. Kamya karma means something which you can escape or you can do away with. Kamya karma is basically for my satisfaction. I have certain desires and I want to fulfill those desires, and that is how Kamya karma is performed, but that is optional. There is no sin we incur when we do away with Kamya karma. But if we somehow compromise on Nitya karma or Naimittika karma, then yes, there is we incur sin. There is papa. So we should be very careful. Our Nitya karma, as human beings, we are supposed to do it. Nitya karma, all these different types of karmas are only for human beings. Otherwise, no other species can actually follow dharma, but we are supposed to follow dharma. Follow dharma means following and executing nitya karma and naimittika karma regularly. And there is something called as nishiddha karma, which we are supposed to avoid completely. We are not supposed to do anything that is not mentioned in the Vedic injunctions. So very, very clear. Yad ashnasi means eating. So whatever you eat, Krishna is saying, you offer it to me. That we have again elaborately discussed in practical spirituality session, where how to offer, what to offer, all these details we have very nicely explained and understood, that only that which is pure in nature can be offered. Because many people think that I can offer, okay, yeah, dashnasi, anything can be offered. That means I can offer non-vegetarian food. I can offer wine and all those drinks which are prohibited. All these things should not be offered. Krishna says these are all nonsense things. We should not simply mislead people. Some people do that, some so-called gurus, that okay, you can do whatever, but ultimately they'll get bound when they do all these things. So yad ashnasi, yad dadasi means to give away whatever you have, you want to give it in charity. So charity means, again, see, when we see somebody in suffering, we feel compassionate, and out of compassion you want to give something. So when you give that, it is called daya. It is not called dana. When you give something out of compassion, it is called daya. There is difference between daya and dana. Dana means that which you give to qualified people, that is considered as dana, actually. In true sense, if you want to understand and want to give charity, charity should be given to those people who are learned, especially those who are spreading this moment of Krishna consciousness, or anybody who is a true Brahmana, who is executing his nitya karma, naimittika karma properly. When you give something to qualified people, that is considered to be charity. Otherwise, it is called daya. You see some poor people and you give something out of compassion. We give people, you want to help people, that is very good, but that cannot be considered as charity. So it is very important when you are trying to, of course, we are all going to leave this body and we become devotees and we leave the body, then we are going to go back to him, back to God. The Vishnu Dutas will come. But those who are not completely devotees, they still have certain amount of their quota of karma to be exhausted in this material world. Then they have to go through the palace of Yamaraja. And before we reach the palace of Yamaraja, there is this river called Vaitarani. Vaitarani means it's a river not with Ganga water or Yamuna water. It is a river which is filled with all blood, mucus, malamutra, all that is there. It's a very horrible. Just the sight of that Vaitarani river can scare us. It is very, very, very dangerous. It is very ferocious river actually, and each one of us we have to, if we are not devotees, we are supposed to cross that river, and we can cross that river only if you have done charity. With Vaitarani, Vaitarani comes from the word Vitarana. Vitarana means you distribute, you give dana. So if you have done any dana, then only we can actually cross that ocean. Suppose if you have done any godana, the Yamadutas will ask you, oh, you have done any dana or not? If you say, no, no, I have not done any dana, then you will be forced to cross that ocean by yourself, passing through all that ferocious, horrible river by yourself. But if you have done Godana, then a wonderful boat will come with the boatman and it will help you to cross over that Vaitarani river. If there is no charity given, then it's very difficult. That's why Godana we have to do. Godana is very, very special. So, to cross that Vaitarani river, dana has to be given. So why I'm saying this? Because Krishna is saying whatever you give away, you do it you do charity, not simply daya, but dana you should do. That is very important. And then Krishna is also saying, yet juhosi, whatever you give away, whatever you give in charity, yes tapasyasi kaunteya, tapasya. So any tapasya that we do should be for the pleasure of Krishna. Otherwise, there are many people who do tapasya for their own sense gratification, like Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was such a demon who also did a lot of tapasya. The greatest of the demons, they acquire powers because of tapasya, not simply like that. One thing is for sure, whenever we do any tapasya, any austerities, you get a lot of strength. We all get a lot of internal strength when we are fasting on Ekadashi. It's simple tapasya. The more intense your tapasya is, the more powers you get. So Krishna is saying any tapasya that you do, bhakti yoga itself is a tapasya. What is that bhakti yoga tapasya now? Tapasya in bhakti yoga is getting up early in the morning, which is a challenge for most of them, isn't it? Vinodji, isn't it? It's a big challenge. Waking up early in the morning, 4:30, you have to wake up and then attend Mangalarti. It's quite a challenge. So tapasya, that is our getting for Mangalarti is a challenge. So if you can do that in Kali Yuga, it's a greatest tapasya. What people would get by doing tapasya for thousands of years in the previous yugas, you will get that simply by getting up early in the morning for Mangalarti in this Kali Yuga. So wonderful it is, very powerful. So Mangalarti is a great tapasya. Eating only prasadam, nothing else. That is tapasya. It's a great tapasya. Chanting 16 rounds every day. Wonderful, greatest tapasya of Kali Yuga. So you just see, if we consciously do all these things properly, what Prabhupada has given, we are doing the highest tapasya in Kali Yuga. It is very, very rare. Simply attending Mangalarti, having the darshan of the Lord, and then eating only prasadam and chanting rounds regularly Hare Krishna. If we can do these things, simple things, it is the greatest tapasya. The kind of results we are going to get is amazing. We just cannot even imagine. That is the state. So, tapasya kaunteya, whatever tapasya that you do, you please offer it to me, O Kaunteya. Tat kurushasva madarpanam. Madarpanam, Krishna is saying, you offer everything to me. It's very clear. Mad arpanam, not to anybody else. So Krishna is saying, I am the supreme person and you offer everything to me. It's very clear now. So this has to be done very clearly. So let's go to the next verse today. Let's chant the next verse. So Hina Mataji, you can unmute yourself and let us chant the next verse, that is 28th verse. This is very interesting verse again. Shubha Shubha Phalairevam.
Prabhuji, I cannot see the verse.
Okay, just one second. Sorry. Yes. Shubha Shubham Shubha Shubha Phalairevam.
Shubha Shubha Falairevam.
मोक्ष से कर्म बंधनೈ
मोक्ष से कर्म बंधनै
संन्यास योग युक्तात्मा
संन्यास योग युक्तात्मा
विमुक्तो मामुपश्यसि.
विमुक्तो मामुपश्यसि.
Once again, Shubha Shubha Phalairevam.
शुभा शुभा फलैरेवम्
मोक्ष से कर्म बंधनೈ
मोक्ष से कर्म बंधनै
संन्यास योग युक्तात्मा
संन्यास योग युक्तात्मा
विमुक्तो मामुपश्यसि.
विमुक्तो मामुपश्यसि.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
Prabhuji, I cannot see the entire thing. Yeah, now. In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me, in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, very nicely, Krishna is saying here, Shubha Ashubha Phalair Evam. So, anytime when we perform any activities, there is some result. Good action, good result. Bad action, bad result. Auspicious and inauspicious. There is always some result that we get. Isn't it? Subha, Shubha, Shubha, Ashubha. So auspicious and inauspicious results that we all get based on our karma. And Krishna is also saying here, Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma. Yuktatma, Sannyasa Yoga. This Sannyasa Yoga we have discussed many times in the previous chapters also. What is Sannyasa Yoga? How we have to be detached. But here Krishna is saying you need to practice this under the able guidance, Yuktatma. It is very important that we practice Krishna consciousness under the superior direction of somebody who is called a Yukta. Yukta means who is expert. So, who is expert? One who is following Yukta Vairagya, he is Yukta. Very nicely, Rupa Goswami, he says that anasaktasya vishayan yataram upayunjataha nirbandha krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagya muchyate. Yuktam vairagya muchyate. So Rupa Goswami is saying is that as long as that we are in this material world, we are supposed to perform action because we are a spirit soul. Spirit soul means it cannot be inactive. Even if you want to be lazy one day and you just want to sleep, it is just not possible because you have to eat. To eat means you have to perform action. The nature of the soul is such that it is always active, it is never inactive. So it has to perform action. If somebody says sit silent and then you meditate, it is apparently looks like they're sitting silent and in one place somewhere in Himalayas. There might be physical inaction, but there is lot of mental action. Yogis, they may be physically inactive apparently, but internally there is so much of action going on in the mind, in the intelligence, at the spiritual level. There is lot of activity that is going on. So the soul's nature is to always perform some action, and when we perform action, there is shubha or ashubha reactions that we come, and we have to somehow face these fruits that we get. But then Krishna is saying that if you somehow understand the sannyasa yoga properly and you give up this attachment to your moksha se karma bandhana, you will become automatically free from the karma bandhana if you somehow get rid of this ashubha and shubha things. All these results that we are attached to is not so easy to give up. Each one of us, to some extent, to some degree, we are all attached to the fruits that we are getting out of action. It's very difficult to give up the results, the attachment to the results. When we work, we expect some result. Whenever we do anything, there is some expectation for the result. And Krishna is saying, slowly give up that attachment. How do we give up that attachment? Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya means what? See, I have to perform action. When I perform action, there is a result. Now, Yukta Vairagya means I perform action for the pleasure of Krishna. And when I perform, there is a result. That result also I will utilize in the service of Krishna. So, what is happening? You cannot stop from acting, and because you are acting, you cannot stop the result. Now, the intelligent person, one who is Yukta, what he does is, I will engage both in the service of Krishna. My actions and the result, both. So, that is Yukta Vairagya. This is the science, and this is the process that we are supposed to follow slowly. And actually, when we follow this Yukta Vairagya, what is happening? Karma bandhana. We are becoming moksha se karma bandhana. We are becoming free from the karma bandhana. Because your action and your result is doubted for the pleasure of Krishna. There is nothing in me, nothing for me. So then what is happening? That is sannyasa yoga. You are giving up everything for Krishna. That is dedication. That's why we should understand sannyasi doesn't mean that somebody who is wearing the saffron robes or, his shaven head. No, your dress, this physical, whatever dress somebody is wearing externally is totally immaterial. Please understand, it is nowhere connected to this verse actually. Oh, just because somebody is wearing a saffron robes and having the shaven head, he becomes a sannyasa yogi. No, it's that's why Krishna consciousness means it's a game of consciousness. Game of consciousness means we are changing our consciousness to please Krishna. We are constantly endeavoring to please Krishna. That is what is Yukta Vairagya. Now, many people don't understand this. So, then Prabhupada also in the purport is explaining that when we talk about moksha, say liberation, does not mean that I will enter into the Brahmajyoti. Brahmajyoti means again inaction. That is called Sayujya Mukti. And devotees are not interested in Sayujya Mukti. Sayujya means I merge into the Brahman effulgence. That is Sayujya Mukti. But there are 5 types of muktis. Salokya means I will enter into the kingdom of God, into the planet of God, where different forms of lords are there. There is Varaha, there is Narsimha, there is Buddha, there is Matsya, Kurma. I belong to one of these Vaikuntha planets, or I belong to the Golok Vrindavana based on my special inclination and my ultimate devotion towards a specific form of the Lord. Salokya, I enter into that particular planet. Sarupya. Sarupya means I actually get one of the forms, just like the Lord's form in that particular planet. I get one of the forms, very similar form to the Lord's form, Sarupya. You look very similar. Like many, when gopis they saw Uddhava for the first time, they actually considered him to be Krishna because he was very, very similar. He was having some features of Krishna. Very special devotee Uddhava was. So he was having certain features. They thought that he himself is Krishna. So you get that Sarupya. Then there is Samipya. Samipya means you are very close to the Lord. You become very intimate to the Lord. So that is called Samipya Mukti. And then there is Sashti. You get the characteristics of the Lord. So the idea here is when we devotees, we practice sannyasa yoga, we don't look for the Sayujya Mukti. We don't want to merge into the effulgence because we are devotees, and devotees means there is interaction between the Lord and the devotees. So that is why we are constantly looking for interaction with the Lord. We don't want to merge into the effulgence of the Lord, Sayujya Mukti. None of the devotees, the great devotees, the pure devotees, they don't get into this Sayujya Mukti. They don't want to get into this Sayujya Mukti. So either you go for Salokya, Samipya, Sarupya, or Sashti. So this is how we are supposed to engage ourselves nicely and slowly become free from this karma bandhana. And that is possible only when we follow Yukta Vairagya. It really doesn't matter how rich you are. Many people think that, okay, if I'm born in America, if I'm born in a very rich family, and I will get the good results, and out of good results, I will be doing more good things. No matter how good you may be born as a demigod, also, but Krishna is saying Shubha or Ashubha both are binding. Because the question may come, okay, Prabhu, I understand that Ashubha is something, Ashubha karma, Ashubha phala, and that is binding. But why Shubha is also, Shubha karma is also binding? Yes, Krishna is saying, even Shubha karma in this material world is binding. Because Shubha karma will lead to higher planets. You may become a demigod. Or if not demigod, at least you will be born in a very aristocratic family. But ultimately, you are still bound. What is bound? Birth, old age, disease, death. You are not free from that. So that's why devotees, they don't become very comfortable in this material world. Devotees means they know that the problems will come and you should be mentally prepared. I may be in a very comfortable situation, materially speaking, but you should not become comfortable. Devotees, they are always, okay, I have to get rid of this place. Why get rid of this place? Because although materially I have a lot of comforts, but they are feeling uncomfortable. Devotees feel uncomfortable here because of this body. This is causing problem. Birth, old age, disease, death. This uncomfortable, when you're diseased, it's so uncomfortable for a devotee or anybody for that matter. But devotee is feeling that, okay, this is an uncomfortable situation. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm going to die. It's an uncomfortable situation. I'm not supposed to be here. So I have a lot of comforts around me, but I'm uncomfortable because my nature is spiritual and I have to be in the spiritual world. Right? So that's why Shubha or Ashubha, Shubha karma, Shubha phala. Ashubha karma, Ashubha phala should not bother us. We should be very, very poised in all this situation and understand that my ultimate goal is Yukta Vairagya. Please, Krishna, and get out of this place. That's the only thing that we should be aiming at. Human life means we should not be concerned about all this or disturbed with all this good and bad things in this material world. Good things will come, bad things will come. All this will, somebody will glorify you, somebody will insult you, somebody will praise you, somebody will pull you down. All these things are immaterial to a devotee. We should never take these things seriously. If you get serious about these things, it will unnecessarily defocus us from Yukta Vairagya. It is this principle, although it's very easy to speak and easy to hear, but in actuality, it might be very difficult to follow. It might be very difficult to follow. Oh, Prabhuji, somebody insults us. How can I actually be very poised? How can I just be not reacting to things? That is tapasya. That is tapasya. When somebody glorifies us, we start thinking that, oh, I am a great person. But to not think I am a great person, that great is only Krishna and Prabhupada, in that situation, when you actually tolerate those situations, then Krishna is pleased. When Krishna sees these, your internal behavior, what is your internal environment? How is the weather inside? Krishna is always worried about your internal weather. Internal weather means when you actually are facing this Shubha and Ashubha situations in your life, what is going on in your consciousness? That is what matters to Krishna. How do you react to things? That is what matters to Krishna. It really doesn't matter. All these situations are immaterial to Krishna, but what you do when these situations arrive in your life, that is what is important to Krishna. This is where Krishna becomes pleased. And when he becomes pleased, what he does, that is very wonderful. That what he does is very wonderful, and he explains that in the next verse also. So in that next verse, Krishna speaks very something very very special. So Dave, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse, and let me display that on the screen. So special it is. Sometimes 29. Yeah, verse number 29. Samoham sarvabhuteshu. Okay, looks like I need to add you to the. Okay, now I'll add. I think now I'll add you. Yeah, I think now it's. Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Dev. Samoham sarvabhuteshu.
Samoham sarvabhuteshu
न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः
न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः
ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या
ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या
मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्.
मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्.
Once again, samoham sarvabhuteषु
समोहं सर्वभूतेषु
न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः
न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः
ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या
ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या
मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्.
मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, wonderful. See, Krishna is saying here, Samoham sarvabhuteshu, sarvabhuteshu, samoham. I am sama. I am equal to everyone. I am not partial to anyone. So, Krishna is saying here, Named dveshosti na priyaha. I am not envious of any living entity. And we have to take this as absolute truth, because Krishna is saying I'm not envious means he's actually not envious. Because you just imagine now, what is Krishna's position? Krishna's position is that he is the supreme personality of Godhead. How can a supreme personality of Godhead be envious? You may ask Prabhuji why he cannot become envious. Now, in our case, if you just analyze, when do we become envious? If somebody who is too younger, small child, he performs some very nice act, he goes and sings very nicely in the school, or he gets a nice award because of something that he has done. You're not envious of that child. Small children, when you see there is lot of age difference, he's a small child, he has done something wonderful, and you will really not feel envious of that child. You will feel happy, oh, this is a wonderful child, has done so many nice things. You will glorify, you will become happy. Or if there is someone who is, far beyond, too elderly, or, he has no personal connection with you, and he's disconnected from you, but he's a great person, and he has made a lot of money, and you may look up to that person, because if you are also aligned and striving to become very rich person, you will look up to that person as your role model. You will not feel envious of that person. Mostly, we feel envious of people who are equal to us most of the time. Your classmate or your colleague, your somebody of your, equal status, when they perform something extraordinary, or they achieve something in their life, that is when we become envious. Enviousness is very natural. That situation arises that time. But you take Krishna, now just think about this. Who is equal to Krishna? There is no one equal to Krishna. All the living entities are in no status, no, they are not of equal status. He is Supreme Personality of God. He is Vibhu. We are Anu. So, if we do some extraordinary acts here, we achieve something great here, Krishna will only become happy. There is no reason for Krishna to become envious of us because he is supreme. We are not equal to him. So there is no question of enviousness, isn't it? So Samoham Sarvabhuteshu. So he's equal to everyone. Very, very special here now. Samata. Samata means, you know, he is neutral. Now, there are different grades of people in different species of life. Again, there are different grades. Although there are different grades of consciousness, 84 lakh species, Krishna says Samoham Sarvabhuteshu, including all the species. He doesn't consider only human beings. He's Sama to everyone. That is Samata. So, see, although that Samata is there, that we are all, Krishna is equal to everyone, he is not partial to anyone, but still, why Krishna favors his devotees? Why there is that some sort of partiality he does sometimes? We see that in his leelas, that Krishna actually performs some leelas which are very much favoring towards his devotees. So that means he's partial. So Prabhupada also says and gives a very crude example. In a typical business, when we have a person who is a shopkeeper, he is selling some goods, and when he's selling goods, there is something inferior quality, there is superior quality. Now, when a customer comes and gives him lower price, he will obviously give something which is inferior. And if you give him a higher price, you have the capacity to give a higher price, then you will automatically give goods which are of high quality, isn't it? Actually, the shopkeeper is not partial. He is giving you as per your capabilities. Similarly, when we go to a judge in a high court or Supreme Court, wherever, the judge is giving certain statements, he gives some judgments based on our activities. So he's not partial, he's completely neutral. If he is giving some imprisonment or he's giving life sentence to someone, the judge is impartial. He is giving judgments only based on the laws, the constitutional laws. So similarly, the Lord in that way is actually samoham. How is sama? Because samata means Krishna also has said, ye etamam prapadyante. I reciprocate based on how you act upon. I will accordingly reciprocate. So if you are actually striving to become a devotee, I will, to that degree, to the degree of your devotion, to that degree, I will reciprocate. I'm sama. I'm sama there. Because you are offering me 10% of bhakti, I will accordingly reciprocate with you in that 10% only. Now there is a envious person. There is somebody who is doing papa karma, and he's a atheist, and 50% atheism he shows. So Krishna says, all right, no problem. Because you are showing me that much of atheism, and you don't want to believe in me, I will cover up your ignorance to that degree. To the degree that you want to neglect me and avoid me, to that degree, I will also reciprocate to you. So he's Sama there. See, the Lord is Sama. Sama, we have to take it in that way. The degree to which you develop devotion, to that degree, Krishna will reciprocate. That is Sama. That is how Krishna deals. He's very, very pakka. He's equal. 10% to 10%, 20% to 20%. Then, Prabhuji, what about the Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruv Maharaj and all these special devotees? They are special devotees. There, they are not ordinary devotees. In the case of special devotees, pure devotees like Prabhupada, the Lord is involving completely in the devotee's life. Those are special cases. We are not special cases. In our cases, he is only sama. Sama, he will reciprocate. He will not interfere. But devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, like Srila Prabhupada, the Lord will personally interfere because they are fully surrendered. They are not like 5%, 10% surrenderance. They are fully surrenderance. That's why that special reciprocation comes. He gets involved there. So that is the difference. That, and also very nice, Baldev Vidyabhushan also in one statement he says that uh, he he says that Bhagwan Bhakta Bhaktida. It's very nice. I'll just get that word. Very, very, very special word it is. It is. It states that how the Lord is Bhagwan Bhakta Bhaktiman. Bhagwan Bhakta Bhaktiman means the Lord is the devotee of his devotee. Now, that is possible only when we become pure devotees. When we become pure devotees, the Lord will become a devotee of the devotee. It is so. That is how it is. That reciprocation is like that. Actually, he doesn't want to become the master. He wants to serve the devotee. He is constantly, the Lord is always willing to serve his devotees. He is coming forward to reciprocate with us. That loving exchange he wants to have with all of us. Just like the gopis. The gopis, Krishna, that is another extreme. Now, the love of gopis, the bhakti of the gopis, the service of the gopis is so much that Krishna is saying, I cannot reciprocate to the love that you have, that you show to me. I cannot reciprocate that. Now, Krishna has come to the point of saying this, that he cannot reciprocate to the gopis' love. That means you can understand what level of devotion these gopis and Radharani have for Krishna. That Krishna cannot reciprocate for their love. We do a little bit of bhakti and we expect reciprocation, and Krishna reciprocates also because that is in his capacity. It is in his capacity to reciprocate because our devotion is little. Krishna can reciprocate. But the gopis and Radharani's love is so much for Krishna that Krishna cannot reciprocate. Can you imagine? The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot reciprocate to the love and devotion of these great devotees. Oh my God. So, thinking of this itself makes us, go crazy because the amount of devotion these devotees have is highly appreciable. The gopis and the Radharani, they are the peak of devotion, the peak of devotion. We can't imagine. So this attitude, this wonderful, uh, uh, this exchange of love between the gopis, Radharani, and Krishna, to give this glimpse, the Lord personally appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wanted to give this highest form of reciprocation between the devotees and the Lord. He wanted to give it to all of us in Kali Yuga. And we are so fortunate that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came just 500 years ago. And we are now in that line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu trying to understand the highest form of love, highest form of bhakti. So we should take this very, very seriously. So Krishna, when he's saying that Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, we should know that he is equal, he reciprocates to the degree that we have devotion towards him. At the same time, Krishna also is saying here, I'm not envious because we are not equal to him anyway. E bhajanti tu mam bhaktya. This word is very important. E bhajanti tu. But. Tu means but. Krishna is saying, E bhajanti, but means there are my pure devotees. Maiti teshu chapyaham means they are my friends and I'm in them and they are in me. It means whatever Krishna thinks, they think, and whatever I think, they think. That means Krishna is saying, at the point of consciousness, at the level of consciousness, we are equal. So when we develop that kind of devotion, like the gopis, like Radharani, like Narada Muni, like Prabhupada, the consciousness, that pure Krishna consciousness, makes the Lord and the devotees one. That is what Krishna is saying. I am in them. Krishna is saying, I am in them. And they are in me. That means Krishna doesn't want to separate himself from his devotees, such pure devotees. He thinks that I am those devotees. He thinks that these devotees are equal to me. That Krishna gives that position to the great devotees, that yes, they are equal to me. And because he gives that position to these great devotees, the gopas, they can climb up on Krishna's shoulders. They can, why? Because Krishna has given that position to them. That position of equanimity. Okay, you are also like me. Otherwise, to us, he doesn't give that kind of position. He is supreme Lord. But to his pure devotees, he tells, okay, you climb on my shoulder. You jump on my belly, and you do whatever you want. He's like that. He's reciprocating like that. Why? Because they have surrendered completely. More than surrenderance, they have developed that intense devotion. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to give us. And this is the speciality of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Only Gaudiya Vaishnavism talks about this highest form of reciprocations between the Lord and devotees. Very rarely it is found. In the Madhva Sampradaya, in the Ramanuja Sampradaya, there's a lot of awe and reverence, although they worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Gaudiya Vaishnavism, it actually brings all these different philosophies together and then gives us the highest form of philosophy, Achintya Bheda Veda Tattva. That Achintya Bheda Veda Tattva means, this is where Krishna is saying that Mai te te shuchapyaham e bhajanti tu mam bhaktya. So, very interestingly, Krishna is saying here that I am equal to everyone, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So, very special thing. It's very, very special. So, this devotional attitude we have to develop, and we should always understand and think that Krishna is equal to all of us. All of us. He is not looking or differentiating uh, between any of his devotees. It is not true, actually. It is not Krishna's discrimination. It is very natural uh, emotion of Krishna. It is not discrimination. It is a natural emotion towards his special devotees that he gives. So we all should strive to become special devotees of Krishna. So we have discussed these few things today. If you have any questions, you can please feel free to ask. Just thinking about these words about Krishna, when we try to personalize these shlokas, Bhagavad Gita shlokas, it becomes more intimate. Then you understand Krishna better, because they are not simply very dry philosophical things. Krishna is speaking means Krishna, there is a rasa in that. When we start becoming uh, expert in taking that rasa, relishing that rasa, then Bhagavad Gita becomes even more relishing, because you start seeing that, oh, Krishna is speaking to me. It's not just Arjuna, but he is actually speaking to me. So that we have to extract from these shlokas, that rasa we should start relishing. So that personal connect is there. In every shloka that Krishna is speaking, he is actually trying to personally connect with all of us, each one of us. So it's not simply, I'm speaking, you're listening. Krishna, through this medium, he's trying to connect with all of us. He is trying to somehow give us some inspiration, through some word, through some statements. He's trying to, make us feel that I'm there. I'm there. You just look upon these verses and try to find me in these slokas, try to find me into the situations of your life, and I'm there. So actually, in every situation, all our life circumstances, Krishna is constantly there guiding us. But when we become aware, that becomes personal. At the same time, a lot of appreciation develops because you start seeing Krishna in every situation of life. Very, 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 very important. That we have to get. That we have to get to that point where we see Krishna in every situation of our life. That is enough for us to get liberated in this Kali Yuga. That will help us. Yes. So there was in the last Sunday, I told you that one of my grandfather passed away, and we had a ceremony, and they had actually called. And many people, when they see that there is some sort of vairagya comes in, that's called smashana vairagya. So I thought it's a good opportunity to go and meet and talk to them philosophy when that vairagya is already there. When they are already in that mood of vairagya because somebody has passed away. So it's called smashana vairagya. So I thought we should talk to them about uh, death. We should talk to them about something that is reality today. Most of the time, it so happens that people take children to birthday parties. Celebrations are there. We go and celebrate birthday parties, and children know only about celebrations on birthdays. But whenever there is any death ceremony or any such event when somebody has passed away, we don't take children there most of the time. Such ceremonies we don't take for some reason. Maybe they are scared or something, whatever we feel like that. But if there is a child who is little grown up, we should actually take children to such situations because they know, they will understand the reality of life. Life is not simply about birthdays, but it's also about death days. There are going to be death. That's a hard reality, and children should be exposed to the such reality because that gives them an idea of how to deal with life. It's not simply celebrating birthdays, but it's also when we go to such events when somebody passes away and somebody is, has recently died, and children when they go and see people who have died, they understand that yes, this is a hard reality that we are all supposed to face one day. And when they see such events again and again and again, there is some sort of vairagya that comes in right from the beginning. So we should not, we should at least ensure that, along with the birthday parties that we visit, we should also attend such events because when they see such events of somebody passing away, then they will develop that detachment towards their body. Automatically it comes. It automatically, because they see that grief, that smashana vairagya, when they see again and again, that vairagya comes automatically. So these are few things that I explained to them last time, and there is some amount of, you know, something has hit them hard, and it has made them think that life is much beyond what we are doing right now about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. There is something more to it. So these are something, some points when we actually involve or get into such events. When we have this backup of Krishna conscious philosophy, it is, it will help us personally at the level we get detached. At the same time, you are equipped enough to speak this philosophy to those people and also give them some hope. At the same time, pacify them and tell them that yes, life continues even after death. At the same time, you know that according to our karma, Shubha, Ashubha, just now we discussed, whatever the person has done, according to that, Shubha, Ashubha, Phala will come to that devotee, that particular soul. So lot of things are there. So any situations in life, just try to see it from the perspective of Bhagavad Gita. You will get a lot of clarity and there will be no fear. Okay. So with this, we'll end today. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me in the group. Please take care. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Madhaj. Hare Krishna Vinod ji. Hare Krishna Dev.
Hare Krishna.